Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Let us give His Excellency another round of applause. Thank you, and thank you so much.
Now, I think their lordships, the Chief Justice of Uganda and the Chief Justice of Eswatini, have spied on my remarks because they captured some of the things I wanted to say. But I will find another way of saying them. In one of the local languages, they say, Enkubito ergumibega. Somebody to give you a strong blow. The strength of the blow depends on the muscles of the puncher. Therefore, right from our student days in our movement, we always advised the African intelligentsia, the academicians, the technocrats, the judiciary, the lawyers, to always have an organic way of looking at issues. And in our view, and as the Chief Justice of Eswatini said, he actually made the same points. In our view, it is easier for justice to prevail when there are a few conditions in the society. It is easier. Number one, growth and prosperity. If the economy of the country is growing and creating prosperity, it is easier to work on the issues of justice. Yes, you can work on the issues of justice even in poverty. You can do it, but it is easier. It makes work much easier. And that's what the Chief Justice of Eswatini was saying. If you have growth in prosperity of the homes, of the families, of the individuals, then the state has financial resources. Because if the economy is growing, then the state also has got financial resources to support the judiciary. Now, prosperity will generate incomes for the families and companies and corporations. Secondly, it will improve livelihoods of people. And by livelihoods, I'm talking about better housing. If you see the housing in some of the places, it is not good at all. Better health, better nutrition, security. There's a lot of insecurity in some of the African countries now. Actually, there's like a collapse in many, quite a number of countries. And you can definitely trace this, that lack of security, to some factors, politics and so on, but also to lack of prosperity in the economy, which enables the government to have enough resources to support the army, because the army needs resources to be supported, needs money. So prosperity will give us incomes for individuals and for companies. Prosperity will improve livelihoods, as I've said, but also education. Education will cause enlightenment. People to get a new idea, to get more information. Because some of the tensions in the societies are caused by lack of knowledge, superstition, belief in witchcraft. Why? Because the people don't have enough knowledge about science. Somebody is sick, then they think he has been bewitched. Yet it is malaria. Malaria is, since many years ago now, you can discover which enemies cause malaria, and you deal with it. So enlightenment also helps. Education brings enlightenment. That's why here in Uganda we have been pushing for the case of universal education. Everybody must go to school and stay there for at least 14 years so that he knows more about his body, because that education educates you more about your own body. How is your body made up? Your biology. People, uneducated people don't know the biology of their bodies. The environment around you and what is happening in the world. Now, when it comes to the Chief Justice of Eswatini touched on it, the question is, where does prosperity come from? The human race has been here for 4.5 million years. And in that 4.5 million years, society and man have been evolving. In our political schools, from the long ago, we have a study we call political economy. Political economy is not political science. Political economy is to discover the laws that govern the evolution of society. What are the stimuli? What are the stimuli that cause changes in society? And these stimuli have been identified. And I wish all the African intelligentsia could share them and be aware. Because the human society has been here for 4.5 million years, mainly in Africa here, because until about 100,000 years ago, there were no other human beings in other parts of the globe. They were all here. They were all Africans. It was about 100,000 years ago that groups started moving to other parts of the globe when, after the last ice age. So therefore, much of these changes were taking place here in Africa. And if you study, you will see that what we call a primer in a gun is the trigger which fires off the bullet. We call it a primer. You can call it the initiator. What is the primer of changes in human societies? The primer we have detected in our study of political economy has been the advance in science and technology always causes changes in society. For many millions of years, people were staying in trees. They were tree dwellers because it was insecure to stay on the ground. They had to stay in trees. But 1.5 million years ago, here in Africa, we invented fire. When man invented fire, the people were now able to come from the trees and go into the caves because they had fire to light the caves and chase the snakes there and live in the caves. So they became cave dwellers, changing from tree dwellers. That invention of fire was a big primer for social change, social transformation. Then the invention of agriculture, when people discovered that you didn't have to, because previously people were hunters and gatherers. They would go out to look for food in the bush and look for animals. But now they learned how to domesticate crops and domesticate animals. This was a big revolution. And you can go and you can discover how Africa lagged behind. When Europe invented gunpowder, and for those people, the refugees who left here, those Europeans and other groups who left, they invented gunpowder when we did not have gunpowder here. And when they came back, they caused us a lot of problems because of just gunpowder, that gap, that technological gap. Then the invention of the steam engine, around 14-something, which shifted labor from muscle of human and muscle of animals to machines. Machines now started being the one to do the work. The steam engine for pumping water, then eventually they applied the steam engine to pull the train, and then other inventions, electricity, and so on. All these, the Europeans were able to come and colonize us because of that change in which we did not take part. That advance in science and technology of the gunpowder and of the steam engine and the other inventions. Of course, we had our own internal problems here, which they took advantage of. Tribalism and all that. Because in other societies like China, they were still technologically backward, but they were able to resist the invasion of the Europeans. And so did Japan. So we had our own internal problems here. Our kings who were promoting war among the tribes who were fighting one another. But the biggest primer of social change is advance in science and technology. Societies. Recently, I had some little war here because because of lack of resources, we could not raise salaries of all public servants. Even before the judges, even before the lawyers over the government, I raised the salary of the scientists. People wanted to kill me. Why are you, we are all public servants. I say, yes, you are public servants, but you cannot make a road. And the engineer can make a road. So I need the road immediately now. So please, can you wait? And I bribe this man of the road so that he's happy. And he maintains our roads. Then we can do other things. But some of the people are not convinced. They were very... But African societies must wake up and know that over the last 4.5 million years, all the big changes in societies are caused by the advance in science and technology. The invention of the iron tools. The first time Egypt was colonized was by a group called the Hittites, who had invented iron tools, when Egypt was still using other metals like brass and copper, which were weaker. So therefore, although you are in the judiciary, our view is that all the intelligentsia should be aware of the context of human progress in an organic way. Now, because of these changes, you find that societies went through different types of social systems. Some communal systems at the beginning. Then there was the time of the slave trade, of the slave state. If you read the literature about the Roman Empire, that Roman Empire was built on slavery, as a slave state, providing free labor to the Romans. Feudalism, you know those stories in Europe and even here in Africa. Then now, the new era of capitalism and socialism and social democracy. So, the African societies must change organically. They cannot stay the way they are. And when they change, the level of science and technology, the level of managerial skills of the society, plus the system of producing wealth, whether it is capitalist or socialist or feudal, is what creates the economic base of the system. Creates the economic base. Now, over that economic base, there is a superstructure. Now, the superstructure is the politics, the culture, the legal systems. Those are always the superstructure, the upper structures of the base. The base is the technology and the economic system of that society. So I think if we could be clear on it, I have been involved in these issues for more than 60 years, since 1960, as a young student, I could see, even by 1965, I could see that this was part of the problem. To have a clear understanding of the philosophy, of the ideology, of the strategy. It is like medicine. It is like medicine. When you go to a doctor, for him to help you, he must correctly diagnose your sickness. If the diagnosis is wrong, you will not be cured. And this is part of the crisis we are seeing in different situations in Africa. The diagnosis was wrong. Philosophical mistakes, ideological mistakes, strategic mistakes. If, for instance, which was our problem here, where our leaders were saying what is crucial, and the CJ here referred to it, CJ Owinidoro, what is crucial for politics? Is it identity or is it interest? Now, our people at that time, at independence and before, and even before the Europeans came, our leaders were emphasizing the issue of identity. Identity of tribe. Then later on they added identity of religion. Then also they added what CJ talked about, gender chauvinism, looking down upon women. And that's how they were judging things. So much so that in the Parliament of 1962, there was no elected woman, not a single one. Later on, they nominated 3 women were nominated. So, and yet women were more than 50% of the population. So, therefore, but when we came, we said no. Our student movement said no. What you are doing is pseudo, is fake medicine. Your diagnosis is fake. What I need is prosperity for my family. Me as an individual, my neighbors, our company, our cooperative, we need prosperity. And if we need prosperity, where does prosperity come from? So we said, like me, I am a cattle man in my area there. So I produce milk, I produce beef, I produce bananas. But members of my tribe don't buy my milk. They don't buy my beef. They don't buy my bananas because they also have the same. So we speak the same dialect. When we meet in the morning, Agandi, we greet. But Agandi is not solving my problem. I need money to build a better house. And you have not bought my milk because you also have milk. You have the same problem. So that's how we told our people, look here, Uganda, the people who buy my milk are the people of Kampala, who are not many of them are not from my tribe. You see, some of my tribe who come to Kampala also buy our milk because they don't have cows here. So that's how we were able to tell our people, say, you people, Uganda is more important for you than your tribes. if you want prosperity. The good thing is that in Africa, people are asleep. Sleeping is also good. Kulala. We say kulala, I'm sure you call it kulala in some of those tribes. Because when you are asleep, you don't know where danger is. So you die easy, happily, without knowing what has killed you. It's good also. So when we woke up a little bit, these Ugandans have woken up a bit now, after quarreling with them for a long time. They started producing, creating wealth. Now, as I speak, they have a problem of surplus. They have surplus maize. They produce 5 million tons of maize. Within Uganda, we don't eat maize so much. They eat only 1 million tons, so they have got a surplus of 4 million tons. Milk, they produce a lot of milk. They are producing 5.3 billion liters. Here within Uganda, they drink only 800 million liters. They have a surplus of more than 4 billion liters, and it's growing. Then you got bananas, beef. They have a lot of cows, 16 million cows. Even industrial products, cement, what? Now they have the problem of surplus. So then we turned to them, you Ugandans, you are talking of tribes and religions. Let them solve the problem of surplus. You don't have where to sell what you are producing. Then they couldn't answer it well. Then that's how we said, you people, have you heard of something called Africa? Yeah, of course we know Africa, we know Africa. Why don't you work with our other African brothers like you who are here? Why don't you work with the East Africans? You had our people here playing 2 anthems. One anthem is for Uganda, the other one is for East Africa. I want to salute our elders, Mwalimu Nyerere, Milton Obote, Jomo Kenyatta, who had created this East African community in the 1960s. Then it broke up. Then when we came, I worked with Mzee Hassan Mwinyi, then later on with Mzee Mkapa and Mzee Arap Moi, and we brought back the East African community. And now, later on, the Republic of Rwanda joined, Republic of Burundi joined, Republic of South Sudan joined, Republic of Congo, DRC, Congo joined. Now Somalia has joined. So there are 8 countries now. So we are now telling these Ugandans, East Africa can help you to buy what you have surplus here for. Oh, so now they're beginning to wake up from the sleep, from the opium. It's actually opium. Opium of tribes, religion, religious sectarianism. They are beginning to see that prosperity will come from producing a good or a service. Each adult person must participate in producing a good or a service. And I say participate because I mean you don't have to be the owner of the of the facility, but you can be a worker there. You are participating. You participate in producing a good or a service, and then you sell it. But you must do it with what we call a chivaro. In our language here, we call it a chivaro, a calculation to make sure that, because in the colonial times, they would make our people do things which didn't mean much prosperity for our people. Like you grow cotton. If you want to grow cotton, you need to grow it on a big scale. If you grow it in 1 acre, you will not get out of poverty. So that's why we say every adult must engage in wealth creation, produce a good or a service with the chibaro, with the economic analysis to make sure that you will get out of poverty. And then sell it. Sell it within Uganda, because Uganda is very important for you at the initial market. And that's why we emphasize patriotism. You love Uganda. Why do you love Uganda? Because you need it for your prosperity, better than your tribes and religious groups. Then Pan-Africanism, you need Africa, not only East Africa, but now we have got the CFTA, Continental Free Trade Area, for the whole market of Africa. So therefore, when I see you here coming together, first of all, of course for you are coming maybe talking about justice, but my challenge to you is that you should, now I'll come to that later. Now, then once you have got the African market, you can also now start talking with the Chinese, with others for additional markets. But Chinese will listen to you more if the whole of Africa is together as a continental market. We can bargain better. Or East Africa is together, we can bargain as East Africa. Now, when it comes to justice in the narrower area, at independence, many of the ideas of justice, which you, the lawyers, studied, were middle class, what we call bourgeois ideas, which had been imported from Europe, which was good, because some of them are definitely good, like individual freedom, because the traditional societies were not emphasizing so much individual freedom. So it was good. But you should also know, as CJ was saying, Chief Justice of Uganda was saying, they have some irrationalities. Like, for instance, I normally laugh quietly with my tribe. If we ask you a question, did you go somewhere to steal a cow? And you say, I have a right not to answer. Really? According to the Banyankore jurisdiction, you are guilty. Torkumureva, Nomshuma, don't you see him? He's a thief. He has nothing to say. So, but in the Western system, I don't know how it's all started. But because we are looking for who stole the cow, and you come, you say, I don't want to answer. You don't want to answer. That means you are. So really, I think we need to. So I'm very grateful to His Lordship, the Chief Justice, and the judges of Uganda, who have now joined us in the effort of synthesis to synthesize what is good in the middle class, European middle class legal system, and what is good in our own systems. As the CJ was saying, the African systems. With our tribal system here, there's always full accountability. Full accountability. There's no way you can leave a shade of an injustice. Because if you do, you will get revenge from the tribes. They will revenge. But if you handle it, they don't have to revenge. There are mechanisms of blood settlement, of compensation, of what you would call restorative justice. So therefore, in conclusion, I would just like to emphasize 3 points. Link justice with prosperity. Like the CJ of Eswatini was saying, this export of raw materials is really, it was a historical crime by our leaders to allow this to go on for so long. Here, I have banned the export of minerals which are not processed. I banned them. Oh, they were very angry with me, but God was with me. Because if you look at a mineral like iron ore, if some Indians wanted to take iron ore to India, can you imagine? And at that time, they would give us $47 per ton. And our iron ore is so rich, it is 70% pure. So once you process a ton of steel, you would earn about $600. So we would get like $50 on our material, from which somebody would earn $600. And of course, the jobs of the processing. If you take a shirt like this one I'm putting on, this shirt has got about 6 levels of jobs. You grow the cotton, those are jobs. You harvest the cotton and gin it, ginning in a ginnery, those are jobs. More jobs, more money. Then you make yarn, you make thread from the cotton. That's another level of jobs. Then you weave the cotton. That's another level of jobs. That's level 4. Level 5, you print the colors. That's another level of jobs. Then finally, you tailor the garment. 6 levels. But in Africa, people have been ending at level 2. You grow, you gin, and you sell. All the other jobs are donated to other people. So that's what the CEO of Eswatini was saying. That's how our children are dying in the ocean and going to work in Arab countries and what, looking for jobs. Because we have donated the jobs. And a kilo of cotton may be $1 per kilo. But if you process it to the final, the one who has done it will get $15 out of what you got $1 for. I have given the example of coffee. The global value of coffee is $460 billion. The whole all the coffee-producing countries of the world, Brazil, Colombia, Uganda, Vietnam, all of them, out of the $460 billion, they share $25 billion out of the $460 billion. Africa takes only $2.5 billion from that. Of that, 900 million comes to Uganda because Uganda is one of the biggest growers. So how can this? You find a country like Germany, which does not produce any coffee, earning $65 billion from coffee. All the coffee-growing countries in the world are earning only 25 billion. Germany is earning 65 billion. So it is very, I challenge the intelligentsia of all types, academic, legal people like you, civil servants. You cannot have whatever you are doing in a context of stagnation and sustainable underdevelopment. Yes, you may try, but I think things will break down eventually because you will not have the capacity. So therefore, I would want you to link justice with prosperity. And link justice. Of course, you are not the ones in the front line, but I'm sure there will be cases which will come to you even in your line, the commercial cases and all that. They can come. Like for instance here, recently I want to bring a law to fight money lenders. Money lenders are becoming a problem. They go to our villagers, cheat them, charge them extortionate. Inflation rate in Uganda is very low. It's only 3% or even lower. But you find people charging 240%. In an economy where inflation rate is only 2%. Why do you do that? Oh, no. We had a contract with this villager who didn't know even what he was signing. Of course, we are going to make the law. But if it was me, even before the law came, just using the law of contracts, because that's what they are claiming now, that there was a contract between an illiterate villager with a money lender, that they signed something. And in that document, they don't say that X borrowed from Y. They say X bought the house of Y. So a lending contract is hidden as a purchase contract. But me, if it was me, if I was the one sitting in the case, I would say, how can a house in Munyonyo cost 1 million shillings? You can see from the content of the so-called contract that this could not have been a sale, it was a borrowing, but just using the ignorance of these people. So I think it's good to be aware of the wider context. Link justice with enlightenment. Because the middle class values, like respect for women and gender equality and so on, are better addressed in an educated society. where people, so that's why university education becomes very important, which all of us should support. And then finally, the need for synthesis between the bourgeois concepts of justice borrowed from Europe and the positive concepts of our traditional justice system. With these few words, it is my pleasure to do what? To open the conference. I open the conference.